The correct posture detection application is built with two essential components, the configurator and the user interfaces. The configurator interface, what we see right now, is designed for the doctor or the recuperation exercises trainer to specify how the correct posture looks like. All the configuration process is made in a tab control item placed in the right of the screen. This tab controller has all its features grouped in categories. On the configuration tab we have basic device configuration features like the size of the display joints, which can be drawn larger or smaller depending on the user's preference. We have the possibility to deactivate the RGB image for a better interpretation of the virtual human. After that we have the tracking mode options. The tracking mode options are some features that Kinect offers us, which will allow a better processing of the posture depending on the available joints. For example, if our user is sitting on a chair at the desk, there is no need of processing all the joints, only the upper body ones. That means we will choose the seated tracking mode. But if our user is standing straight, we will use default tracking mode, because all the joints are visible and nothing is obscuring them. One last tool that we have on the configuration tab is the focusing option. This tool allows us to decide what user we want to process, in case the device detects more than one person. Here we have the first human scene option, which will track the first human the device detects. Using this option, our focused user will remain the one we detected first, no matter how many others will appear later in the view. The other option, called closest human, will provide processing of the closest human to the device, in the limit of the minimum distance required. If our user will get closer than 1 meter to the device, his detection will no longer be possible. On the Enable or Disable Joints tab we have checkboxes for every joint and joints category, which, if we will uncheck, will provide the deactivation of those certain joints. This utility is very useful if the configurator needs to focus on certain joints that define the correct posture, and the other joints have no use in this processing. Also, by deactivating these joints, the calculations that require them will no longer be done. On the Bone Lengths tab we will have a scheme of a human body with all the human bones, and where will be displayed near every bone the calculated value of it. This value actually is the distance between the two joints that define our bone. Finally, we have the Angles Between Bones tab, where the configurator will decide what angles will define the correct posture. He will check the angles that are needed for verifying of their value. He writes the value that he expects them to be for the correct posture and the admitted error, which will decide whether the value is correct. After writing an expected value, the calculated value will become red if it is not close to the expected value within the admitted error, or in blue if it is. A final configuration facility that we have is the zoom facility. Placed under the image is two buttons. This will make the configuration process easier by zooming the image, so that we can easier see the details of certain joint positions. After the configuration is done, we will enter the user interface by double-clicking the image. In this interface we will have at the top the status, which will announce the user about his posture, whether it is correct or not, and if it is not, some tips will be displayed in the right bottom corner with the actions, and the user must follow them in order to get to the correct posture.